that one of the mistakes that you made early on was not hiring fast enough. So I'm thinking about hiring, and you're a smaller company in terms of number of employees. So aside from looking for particular skills, what are the things you look for when you're hiring?
So it's not as far as not like a financial business decision, but how do we interview and pre-qualify people?
Yeah, like what are you looking for in the people that you hire, since you only have a small number of people, so each person seems like they would be pretty important to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So for different types of roles, we have different interviewing processes. We actually do have documented interviewing processes. So we hire designers, we hire back-end programmers, front-end programmers, QA engineers, business analysts, project managers. I'm starting to build a sales team now. That's my next focus. So I'll be creating an interviewing process for salespeople. But the first thing, absolutely, that we do is we interview to see whether they are in line with our core mission, our core values, and our core focus. So, and we're actually, believe it or not, we're in a process of redefining all three of those things now as well. We've kind of reached a milestone in the growth of the company where we need to reevaluate all of that. But that's the first thing we do is we make sure that the person we're hiring is in line with those three things. And then if they are in line, if we have a good feeling, personally, like the person seems like they're a good fit for the culture, and they're the right type of personality. Some people we need for roles that need to be more introverted and analytical. Some people need to be more extroverted and talkative and personable. So based on the role, we look for those traits as well, the soft skills. And if they meet all of they fit our culture and they have the soft skills we're looking for, then we start to we do actual technical interviews. So we'll put them either, if it's a face-to-face or whether it's a remote interview, we'll give them technical tasks and actually watch their process to get from point A to point B. And it's essentially it's a live graded test, more or less. We're going to give them a task, see how they do it, see the steps they do to get from A to B, and then we'll have a senior person, whether it's an engineer or a business analyst or somebody overseeing their testing process in real time to assess their abilities. Anybody, any other questions?
You talked a little bit about the conference that you went to and how that was kind of a game changer for you. Can you talk a little bit about that first month? What did you do? You went through some of the steps, but I have to believe it was a little unsettling.
Yeah.
Were you so relieved that you were out of that?
So the first month was actually easy because I built a website for the company. I set up some online marketing tools. Set up I wrote contracts. I wrote the business plan. So the first month actually wasn't. I knew what to do. I knew how to get started. But once I got past all that initial setup of the company, I set up like the LLC. I set up the bank accounts, the QuickBooks, all that stuff. But once I got past all that setup of the company, then it was like, all right, what do I do now? So that was when I had no clue where to go and how to sell deals, and I just picked up the phone and started calling, and I had no clue whether it was actually going to work or not. So, but I had to do it for long enough to actually get a measurable result from it. So that was kind of the most scary part, was once I got past the stuff that I knew how to do, or the stuff that you can do a Google search steps to set up a business, and you'll find probably 10 articles that'll tell you all the stuff you need to do to get set up. But then once you're set up, what do you do next? So actually, one thing I want to plug, so there's actually a conference that's going to be much better information than the one I told you about in my presentation. But there's a conference coming up this Thursday called Tech 360. It's one of the initiatives of ITAG that Monica mentioned, the Information Technology Action Group. I'm on the board there. I helped set up this whole conference. It's at Penn State Great Valley in Malvern. I think Westchester has purchased 3 tickets for the event for students, and there's 1 ticket left over, right? So if anybody wants to throw up their hand first and come to the conference on Thursday, it's an all-day technology conference about cybersecurity, project management, agile, sales, blockchain, all sorts of stuff. So there's quite a bit of exciting technology stuff happening there, and Monica can get you the ticket.
Can you also talk a little bit, you're young, Do you think that that's an advantage in starting a business? And if so, can you encourage the students to move now as opposed to, a lot of us think, oh, we have to wait until we have a lot of money in the bank. A lot of people say that's not a smart move.
No, yeah, so the earlier you do it, the better, because a couple of reasons. One, right now, you probably don't have, other than if you took out student loans, other than that, you probably don't really have a lot of debt. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have, you probably have like one vehicle, I'm assuming most of you probably aren't married, probably don't have kids, so, there's less risk right now. Then the older you get, the more you have, like, the more of, your lifestyle is built out, and, the more risk there is, if the business doesn't do well, and the less, the more emotional you're going to be, because the longer it takes you to get established, the longer it's going to be, the more it's like, stressful for you. So definitely starting earlier. The disadvantage is that, when you're really young, people like kind of use that as a card in business, like, oh, you're so young, I was graduated from college, when you were born, and, that kind of stuff will be said. But once you get into like your mid-late 20s, that doesn't really come up anymore. But in the early days, for sure, when you're younger and when you're doing the grind, I think even just like you're young, and like I think even I was a little naive too when I first started the company. So it was like I didn't know what could go wrong or what could go right. So I was just kind of like, hey, I'll try this. I'll give this I'll give this my best shot. And I think my naiveness might have actually helped a little bit.
Thank you.
No problem. Is that kind of the answer you were looking for?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
What was the biggest surprise you faced in operating your business?
Good question. It's a really good question. I'm trying to think of like how to answer that. Probably I was like, so early on when we were smaller, maybe like a third or a quarter of the size we are now, I was like all about this like fly by the seat of your pants, don't have like, give all the employees unlimited vacation days, and like I was just like, whatever, I was just like totally, let's just all fly by the seat of our pants, and like we'll be a Silicon Valley tech company, and like all that kind of stuff, that like total freedom for everything. And then I learned like, wow, like we really have to have processes and procedures, because people just like don't understand what they're supposed to do, the laser focus thing, like people are just unfocused, don't work towards the same goals. Some people would either abuse their vacation policy or not use it at all because they didn't know if they were supposed to, because they had unlimited days. So it was like one extreme or the other. I learned that like having structure and organization actually is important, and that was kind of like maybe one of the surprises I ran into.
What service do you provide?
So we build custom technology solutions for businesses. It takes the form of web applications, websites, mobile apps, integrated systems, things like CRMs, ERPs, financial systems, patient information management portals, HRS systems, or HRMs.
Were you really talented in that aspect? Is that why you started up the service?
So I actually, I've always been a technologist at heart, but I had no clue how technology applied to business. I just knew like how to tinker around with code and like how to use like Photoshop, and I knew like how to use like the command line and set up a Linux server, and set up like Apache and stuff like that. But I had no clue how to apply those skills to business when I first started my company. So I had like, the banana peel was up there for a reason. I fell on my face a lot. Well, it was great speaking to everybody today, and I wish all of you the best. And if the email's down, but if anybody wants to email me, you can distribute my information, and feel free to email me any questions if you think of something after that you want to ask.